Welcome back to Art Studio Confidential. I'm actually in my classroom today and I finally have a break. I've been spending a lot of time getting all of the kids up to speed this school year. And one of the things that has come up is brush cleaning. So I found some really awful brushes and we had a long discussion about how to clean your brushes. And then of course a while back, an adult friend had called me about cleaning their brushes. So I think today we're going to tackle how to clean your brushes, how to keep them well cared for so that you can create beautiful drawings and paintings with them. So hang with me for a little while and we'll kind of get into the basics of how to do that. And again, if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. And happy drawing and painting. Just real quick, I want to talk a little bit about the equipment we're going to use to clean our brushes with today. Here's the Masters brush cleaner, and I really love this stuff. It will condition your brushes. And then I have some dish soap here. I like the Meyers brand because it's kind of eco-friendly, but you can kind of choose whatever you like. Dish soap in general will work very well. I'm going to quickly go over the parts of the brush as I'll be referring to them throughout the video. The tip here, and then of course the belly of the brush shown here are the areas where you primarily want to have your paint. The next one is the heel. And the heel is attached to the metal piece of the brush called the ferrule. We want to avoid getting paint here because it will make it harder to clean later on, and it can also actually ruin the shape of your brush. The bristle area, and then of course the handle are the other main parts of your brush. Preventative care will actually make your brush last longer and make it easier to clean. One of the worst things you can do if you have a water-based paint is to leave your brush with the bristle side down in a glass of water where you rinse. It will distort the bristles of your brush, and it can also rot the wood handle. Another thing that makes it difficult to maintain the shape of your brush is to push against the bristles in this way. It'll give your brush a bad hair day. This is one of my students' brushes, and this is probably one of the worst things you can do, which is to leave your brushes sit out uncleaned and allow the paint to dry into your brush. It makes it very difficult, sometimes impossible, to get them back to clean again. I'll be using this brush as an example for how to clean an oil painting brush. So in the following clip, you'll see that I have the Masters soap to begin cleaning it. Here I got the Masters soap wet and kind of worked up a little froth, and you can see that I'm scrubbing it in my hand, and I'm making sure to kind of treat it like if you whip egg whites up or cake batter. You want to kind of whisk it in your hand, but not scrub too much. I'm being a little more vigorous with this brush because it was so dirty and that paint had sat in there for so long. So with the oil painting brush, you're going to kind of work up this muck and keep a paper towel next to you and then wipe your excess off onto the paper towel. And depending on how dirty your brush is, you might have to do this several times where you kind of get that soap frothy again, work it into the brush, moving in that whipping motion, never pushing against the bristles, but going with the bristles. And then continuously wipe that off until all that gunk is gone out of the brush. Again, an oil painting brush is a little hardier. The bristles a little stiff, and I'm starting to clean some of the dried paint out of here. If it was me, I probably would toss this brush. And I always clean my brushes right away when I'm finished painting. So that's a really good rule of thumb, is when you're done painting, always make time to clean your brushes so you don't end up with a brush that you end up throwing out. So now I'm going to rinse out the brush here and try to get as much of that soap out of there as possible. So that gives you a chance to see how clean the brush is. And unbelievably, this brush is actually pretty clean now. I think the shape is a little bit distorted, but that Masters soap works just amazing miracles. And you can always get your brush kind of full of that Masters soap and let it sit in a plastic bag for about 20 minutes to soften things up, and then continue that process and so forth. Now, you can see all the soapy crud here on my paper towel, and I'll put this in a bin of waste for for chemical-based waste because I don't want to throw it into the regular garbage. But it's all that gunk has come out of the brush. So I'm going to do one more thing because you saw the bristles are distorted from being treated so badly. So you can take that brush soap and you can work up a lather into a clean brush that's got some distortion. And I like to get a lot of thick soap into that brush, and then I'll start to pull it with the direction of the hairs of the brush and slick it back into shape. You can kind of see there's one little bristle out of order, and if it doesn't go back to where you want it to go, you can certainly clip it off if you need to. But then allow that brush to dry with the soap in there, and it'll help train it back into shape as well as continue to condition the bristles. Here's a brush that I just finished using and was painting in an acrylic paint, so a water-based paint. And I'm going to rinse out my brush when I'm done using it. I'm never going to leave it in the water. And then I got a bunch of dish soap and made it frothy. And so I'm starting to, again, do that whipping motion. Again, never going against the bristles, but kind of going to the side. And you can see that even though that brush was rinsed, there's a lot of that orange paint still inside the brush. And I like to have my stuff separate because I don't like to rinse it down the drain. But you can kind of see now here's the second round of soap, and it's getting yellower, but it's not quite as dark as it was before. So I'm going to give it a rinse, and I'm going to get another thing of that frothy soap and begin to whip it until I see those suds are clear. And you can tell it's gotten a lot lighter, but it's still slightly yellow at this point. So you can repeat this process as many times as it takes until you can see that those soap bubbles are pretty clear. And it's starting to get lighter and clearer, and so I might only run it through this process maybe one more time, and we'll check it and see if the brush produces any more color in those suds. And right now, it's looking like I've gotten most of the paint out of my brush. So I'll kind of give it just a few more seconds just to make sure that there's nothing kind of stuck down in the ferrule of the brush. If you're painting past the tip and the belly, that's just so bad for the brush. It gets caught in the ferrule and it can actually dry there and spread the bristles out. So if you can stay towards the tip and then get in the habit of cleaning your brush right away. So now that's very clean. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put a little bit of that brush conditioner in there, even though I've used dish soap. So here's that brush conditioner. You can use it to also care for the hairs of your brush. Here's one that I'd cleaned a few times with dish soap, and now this last time I wanted to kind of condition it. So I got my cake of brush soap a little bit damp, and now I'm just going to move in the direction of the hair bristles and kind of get a little bit soap in there and begin to kind of move that brush back and forth in a rolling motion just to get it to kind of go back into shape. Now, if you allow the brush soap to dry into your brush, it's not going to hurt it. It's like when you put conditioner in your own hair. It's going to help those bristles to kind of work back into shape and keep them from getting dry and brittle, and you can form it back into a point. And then the next time you want to use it, you can just rinse your brush. Cleaning and taking care of your brushes will give them a long and happy painting life. Take care, everyone, and happy painting.